Dawes and Terri Brisbin. Lady, thank you so much for taking the time to be here today.
Sure.
Thank you.
Glad to be here.
So we only have one release this week, which is unusual for us, but I'm really grateful to have a chance to talk to extra authors, because we missed Chantry a few weeks ago when her release was, and Terry's got a new one coming up pretty soon. So, but let's start with Mary, because Mary's book Entangled, which is book one in the duel, and I know we've talked about this before, because I can't get over the tagline. The idea that she has to fall in love with the guy who killed her husband, it's the kind of thing that sticks with you.
Difficult.
So could you tell us a little bit about that one? And then I just put the pre-order for your second one in ad rotation yesterday, so I'm very excited.
Yes, which is good.
Quickly.
Yep. Well, it starts in May 1815, which is the month before the Battle of Waterloo. And it opens in an inn where our hero, Giles Butler, who's an army officer, is staying on his way out of the country to go and join Wellington's forces in Brussels. And also staying at the inn is a collection of noblemen, including the Duke of Cuttingham. And while they're all together, the Duke insults his Giles's late commanding officer. Sorry, that's my dog. I knew you would do that.
We love dogs and cats, and anybody else who wants to visit, even the occasional husband can pass past, and that's just fine.
He obviously doesn't like the story. But anyway, so they have a bit of a disagreement about that, and Giles ends up being quite insulting, and the Duke takes exception and challenges him to a duel, which they duly do. Neither of them actually mean to kill the other one. They're just making a point. But in fact, the Duke ends up dying.
Leave it to boys to decide to make a point with guns.
Well, this is it. I mean, it's kind of point that doesn't come back. There's nothing you can do about it. So anyway, he decides, because he really wants to do his bit to defeat Napoleon, he decides that he needs to flee the country. And then once he's doing that, he thinks he's feeling really guilty, and he knows the Duke has left behind a widow and 2 grown-up children, and he thinks he's kind of almost passing the estate. So he thinks he should just call in and apologize. Only once he gets there, he thinks that's a really silly idea. I'm the last person they're ever going to want to talk to about this. So he's just about decided to leave again when he sees this young lady sort of creeping and sneaking out of the gates, carrying huge bags, and he's kind of curious. So anyway, he ends up helping her as a sort of, so he feels guilty. So he thinks if he's helping someone of the Duke's family, at least he thinks it's the right thing to do. But he's got no idea that this is actually the Duke's widow. And she's got no idea even that her husband is dead at this point, let alone that this guy has shot him. So anyway, it progresses from there. It's quite an adventure, and they're discovering who each other are, and then what they should do about it, and all the rest of it.
Well, it sounds like it. I'm really hoping that the dead Duke is not a nice guy, so that we don't have to mourn his loss too terribly.
No, he really, dead is a good thing for him. He's not a nice man at all. And the more you find out about him, the more you realize how awful he is. And he's been awful to his wife, which is why she's trying to sneak away from him. And he's been really mean and damaging to his children, who've grown up slightly damaged. But that comes out later. The second book, in fact, is about his daughter and how she sort of recovers and finds herself.
That one's Captured.
Yes. Captured is about his daughter.
The dress on that one, that blue dress, is
it's stunning, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. Well, now I want a coffee mug that said "Dead is a good thing for him."
Well, yeah, you've got to be glad he's dead, I think.
Well,
nobody's mourning, but it's quite sad, really, when you think about it. I mean, if nobody is really sorry that you're dead, it doesn't say much about your life, does it? But
it says something, but it doesn't say much good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm looking forward to it. The first time I read the first line of it instead of the ads, I was like, the stakes for this one are like, I got to see how this works out. So So I'm anxious for that one. And that one launches, that one goes live on the day when this is airing. So
Yes.
you'll be able to get it fresh when it's fresh, just released. So
Especially out.
awesome. Awesome. And then Chantry, we missed a chance to talk to you a couple weeks ago when Thoroughly Seduced, which is book 4 in the Albee Park series, launched.
Yes.
And I love the horses attached to the series, and the covers are just so gorgeous. Can you tell us a little bit about that book?
Basically, as I've talked to you before, I just kind of look through history and see what was going on at that time. And this was the war with Napoleon. And Napoleon had just suffered the horrific defeat in Leipzig, and he lost hundreds of thousands of men and all his horses. And there was a rash of horse thefts in London at that time, for real. And I just made up a story around that. With, of course, the Darley sisters all being horsewomen. She's been asked by the Queen just to keep her ears open when she goes to the balls and the ice cream shops and, around Grosvenor Square. And of course, Bertie, being the youngest daughter and the most adventurous, who wants an adventure before she's forced to get married and pick a husband, she does a little more than just eavesdropping. She starts spying and gets herself into some trouble. And luckily, Thénardier is also spying on the same person that she is. And so we have this love-hate kind of thing going on, and who's going to figure it out. And Bertie's very competitive, and she thinks she loves one man and is eventually going to marry him. And she ends up falling in love with Thénardier, of course, because, they end up having to work together. And so it was just fascinating. And I got a lot of emails from people asking me about different things. Typically, they're kind of horse people. Everything in there is factual.
I love that. I love when I get to learn something I don't know.
Yeah, it was just, it's fascinating, right down to the clothing and even the riding clothes, because people asked about that. And I'm like, I have this old print book of fashion plates from that time. And I just was copying the what I could see on those pages. And somebody else asked me, which I thought was fascinating, because I brought up that she had a little knife, a stiletto in her crop. And somebody said, how could that be? Whips are very thin. And I said, nope, crops were very thick. It's not a thin whip. And there are historic riding crops with these gorgeous silver filigreed tops that you could unscrew, and they could hide little things in there.
So I just want to go with my coffee mug.
Yeah, I just kind of feed off of these cool facts that I learn about, and then I just take their personalities, and it was just a fun story. I like writing total escapism, fun, lighthearted. There isn't angst, there isn't lying. And she is quite the character. If you look at any of my reviews, a lot of people are using alliteration in the title, because Bertie, when she gets upset, uses all these crazy alliterations, and it becomes part of who she is. And I love to see the reviewers are picking up on that and putting it in the review. So it was just a fun story. It was a fun story. So.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And I love when there's a chance to learn something and trust that the author has done the work behind it, so that when you tell me something, I can trust that it's so.
Yeah.
It gives me a chance to experience things that I would not have gotten to on my own. So
yeah. I put her in a ballroom where she's having dinner, and I copied an entire menu with these most bizarre, stewed celery and just things that we don't eat anymore. But also I was reading about all the different houses in Grosvenor Square, and I was trying to describe some of what I had read. And there was one party, a dinner party, where the wallpaper and all the ornamentation down the table in the floral arrangements was filled with very lewd cherubs in different scenes that were like, whoa. So Bertie's sitting there, and she's innocent, of course, and she's just kind of sipping her wine, and little by little, she's just looking around the room going, oh my gosh. And it was, good friends of hers that put this on, and they're just watching her laughing and chuckling at her reaction. So I just really tried to put her in that time period, and I had fun with that. It was fun.
It sounds like it. That's an extra dinner party layer that you don't expect.
Yes, for an innocent young girl.
Is this the last book in the series, or are there more to come?
This is the last book in the series. I do want to continue it because Tenedere has 8 sisters. He comes from a very big family. He is number 10. His older brother died and his father, so he's been thrust into becoming the Earl. But I did want to have a separate universe, maybe with the 8 sisters. I've been writing that. We'll see if Dragonblade likes it. I don't know.
I love that. I love the idea of 8 sisters. That's that would be so much fun.
I'm from a big family myself, and when I was again reading the history of the houses and the families that lived in Grosvenor Square, big families were not unusual. They had huge, large families, and those women in the well-to-do families, I'm seeing through history, they weren't getting married till they were 25 or so. So,
oh wow,
yeah, they didn't have to. They could take their time, and there was a war going on, so
the men are off doing other stuff anyway.
Yeah, the men are not even there. So because I introduced these 8 sisters that are, in these balls, and they're just kind of moving around like a group of ducklings clinging together, lost. And I have to have a story for them and explain why they're older than 10 and unmarried. So I've already been writing that one. So.
Oh yeah, there's lots of adventures you could have there.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
So that's that.
Awesome. And Terri, we had talked to you a few weeks ago about your book, The Lady Takes It All, and then you have the next book in the series is coming up. We don't have a date for that yet, but it's coming soon. Can you tell us a little bit about those?
Sure. Sorry, it's allergy season. So The Lady Takes It All is the first book in my Unexpected Heirs of Scotland series. And it is loosely based, this whole series, loosely based on my crushes, my celebrity crushes. And the first one is Josh Gates from Discovery Channel. And
we talked about, I remember that. I love Josh Gates. He's such a teddy bear. He's such a love.
Yes. I've just sent a copy of the book off to him, so we'll see. So he plays the character. In researching, I found this minor Scottish diplomat who had made a huge discovery, but because of his reputation of things that had happened, it was kind of, not believed. And so he has lived with this, and then he inherits an earldom or viscountcy. And so that kind of takes him a little bit out of the fray and the humiliation, and until a woman comes and starts asking questions and looking for the truth. And it turns out it was the guy who caused all the trouble. It was his daughter, and his daughter was raised with a whole different story and explanation of what events happened and how they happened. So those two both discovered that the other person is not who they expected, literally, and also not what they expected from what they knew. And I had fun with the book. Excuse me. It's set in Regency, Edinburgh, so something a little bit different. And I did have a chance to visit Edinburgh while I was finishing the book, so that was fun to see.
Oh, that's exciting.
See the places I had used and to scope out things. So that was fun. The second book, which I'm done and I have it on my schedule for coming out May 10th, is called A Lady's Agreement, which is a play on a man's agreement. But this woman is wealthy because she has inherited everything from her husband who passed. And unfortunately, a rather bad guy wants something that is really important to her. And he has grown up in very bad circumstances, pushed his way out of the gutters, totally a self-made man, and then happens to help during the war on the continent and ends up being knighted. So now he has a few more doors open to him. But he's still a really morally questionable character and not able to hear the word no and do well with with it. And of course, he runs into her because he wants these buildings, these blocks of land.
Please let her tell him no lots.
Oh my goodness. It's yes. He mistakes and underestimates her completely because he sees this beautiful, lovely, noble woman, daughter of an earl, genteel, blah, blah, blah. And she is a spine of steel. And this land has too much emotional connection to her to give it up. And so she says no quite often. And he just,
I love that.
He throws everything he has at her, from very bad to very, very bad. And yeah, he just cannot figure her out, which is great.
Yeah,
and
that's always fun.
It's funny, the last couple of books I've written, I clearly have other books that I should have written before I wrote them, because there are people that show up, characters that show up that clearly have a story, but I haven't written it yet. And in this one, the heroine's sister and brother-in-law show up, and they keep talking about this big scandal about how they met and what happened, and how her brother-in-law was just absolutely reduced to humiliation in order to claim her sister as his wife. And I'm like, what happened? Why isn't anyone telling me what happened?
Yeah, we wouldn't know.
Clearly a whole thing going on. But what it did was, and those of you who write, and those of us that watch a lot of TV, if something is important at the beginning of the story, it's going to be really important at the end. Like you introduce and then you foreshadow. Well, that humiliation of her brother-in-law really plays in the hero later. And I laughed a lot, chortled. Because I could see I could see his frustration. And this one is based on the character from General Hospital, Duke Lavery. The actor is Ian Buchanan, but Duke Lavery appeared on General Hospital. He's this enigmatic businessman. Turns out to be his father was the crime boss, but he was the first Scottish man I was exposed to that I remember. And the accent.
Not exposed like that, Mary.
No, not exposed like that, Mary. He's morally questionable, but Duke Lavery was. No. But anyway, I adored him. And so when I was looking for celebrity crushes, it was just obviously clear I had to have my Scotsman in this story. So so it's already in and done and just waiting to come out, and I'm really looking forward to it. And
I love that.
My friend who said that the last book she read had the sexiest love scene I have ever written in any book.
Oh my.
Because she's read all of them. She tells me that this book is off the scale in terms of what I've written before.
Oh, yay. So lots of tea kettles worth.
Yeah. Well, I'm really excited. That kind of, as a writer, I don't have confidence in the story at all, ever. And so when people I trust say things like that, at least I can breathe now knowing, So that's what's going on.
You've all been writing for a while now, and since you mentioned, Terri, that you never have confidence in the story, I wonder if that's true for everybody, because you have that. I think you have that moment when you release it out into the world, you kind of hold your breath and wait for the reviews and hope. And we all go through betas and have people that read for us ahead of time, but there's something about sending the story out into the world to the things that are disconnected to you. Is there a way that you deal with the anxiety of that, or do the rest of you not feel that?
Well, like I said, I have a few people that I absolutely trust will be honest with me. And so those are the people that see it before it comes out. And even I worry about the editor seeing the book. So it's just a complete lack of confidence in my stories. And so I just wait to get the couple of people who I trust feedback, even if they say it's not crap, I'm good with that. And then I just go with it and, just try to live with it. But
Yeah.
Chantry, what about you? Do you have a routine before you go?
I have to agree with Terri. You know, there's always that worry and fear that people aren't going to like your stories, or they're not going to be interested or understand, you know, what you were trying to say or anything. And I usually, before I even give it to the editor, I just put it down for a couple days and walk away from it after I've typed the end. And then I go back and reread it fresh, and I'll hand it to somebody and do the same thing, and just really look at it honestly. And then all you can do is hope. And there's always going to be people that, you know, give you bad comments or don't like it, but there seems to always be more that do enjoy it. And I just want to bring pleasure to people. So I'm not trying to write, you know, War and Peace or anything like that. I'm just trying to give people pleasure. So,
Well,
and
when
an
they give you
escape,
their time, you know? Yeah. If they're going to give you their time, like I want it, if they're going to go on the journey, I want them to like get something good out of it, you know? So I want it to be a good thing.
Yeah.
So what about you, Mary?
Well, I'm the same. I think I don't. I have no confidence in what I've written either. And I live in terror, and eventually, in desperation, I shove it off to my editor. I have beta readers. I'm too frightened to let anybody read it, and eventually, I send it off in desperation, and hopefully, nobody hates it. And then when I get the first review that says it's nice, and I go.
Yeah.
If it's a bad review, then that's black depression again. But there's usually more who like it than don't like it. So in the end, I'm usually happy. Certainly not depressed enough never to write again.
And I guess it's called imposter syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
And I think so. I feel that so much. And then I have other writing friends who are just so boldly confident in everything they write. And they're out there teaching workshops and things. And I hear them talk about their writing, and I think, yeah, I must not be a real writer, because that's not how, you know, I approach things. So but I write another book. So
yeah, I think there's something about laying yourself bare, though. Like, you know, it doesn't have to be from an angsty standpoint, but it's essentially creating this world, creating these characters. You're making a reality that you're sending out into the world for other people to spend time with, and that's a vulnerable pursuit. That's there's an honesty there that's a little overwhelming, and I'm not sure that authors do a great job of conveying exactly how and maybe we shouldn't, you know, because the goal is to entertain readers, but that kind of, you know, holding your breath and sending it out into the world is like sending your kid off to do something good and hoping that things go the way they're supposed to.
Yeah, boy, that's true. Yeah.
So Chantry, you had a buddy earlier. Is your buddy still around?
Yes, I keep trying to shoo him away. he's right here.
Can we meet him?
Well, he's gone under my desk now. So.
And Mary's buddies were barking earlier.
I think he heard that because he came over
to see what was going on.
He's still there. I think he wants me to. There he goes. Okay, nice boy. Come here.
Let's see what we can get. Mary's buddy. I'm always curious, like when Maeve's on, her cats usually walk across the back, and I love cats so terribly much, and I don't have any right now, so it's like I always like to see what everybody's furry friends are.
Well, Evelyn, you would like the bookstore that I'm signing in on Saturday.
Ooh, cats.
It's a cat bookstore.
Oh, I love that.
They take in foster kittens. And at any given time, there could be 5 to 10 cats.
Oh,
my
wow.
And they have little cat architecture that they can climb up and walk the shelves. And
I love that.
And into this, I'm going to mention that I am seriously allergic to cats. So I'll be masked the whole time.
but not Benadryl, Claritin, so that you don't fall asleep while you're signing.
Well, I have to take that and my inhaler with me, and and I have to go out about every 30 minutes or so, I have to walk outside.
Mhm.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah, but they've just got more cats, so we'll see.
Oh my gosh.
But my daughter-in-law, who loves cats, is like, I need to come with you. I need to come with you. So, but that should be interesting.
Oh, how fun. That's great though.
Yeah.
To do that.
It really is. So when you do a signing and get to meet people who read your books, what's the takeaway for you? I know as a reader, when I got to meet Jenny Cruzy at RWA one year, and I just made an absolute fool of myself. I mean, it was just embarrassing. My girlfriend took me by the arm and led me out of the room afterwards. It was bad. Because I just love her so much. but so I know, like, as a reader, how exciting it is to meet an author that you really love. As an author, what's it like to have readers come up to get your books or to have you sign their books?
Oh, well, I'll go first. I am still, well, when someone approaches, I wait to be asked where the bathroom is. Because if you're in a book, so I've done them, I've been published actually 25 years this year. And so when you're in a bookstore and you're placed in a certain place and people see you there, they ask you the first questions they need, where is the bathroom and where is, whatever the newest book is. But to me, it startles me when someone says, oh, is this your new book? And I'm like, me? Oh, me? So it's always that kind of surprise. But when I just remember, I think I cried the first time a reader came up and said how much they loved these two characters and they used their names. Yeah. And it's like, until that point, the characters have been real to me. But when she went on and on about how they met and how they fell in love, and I wanted to just cry because now they were real to other people, and it's a wonderful feeling, a fabulous feeling. So for me, I love it. I love doing them.
One of the things that Jennifer Lynn Barnes talked about was the way we interact with fictional characters versus real people, and how real fictional characters are. And when you start doing like psychology and brain science, and you realize how similar or even the same created memories are versus real memories, and how they use the same kind of pathways and stuff. When you have created something that somebody else actually takes into themselves, that's pretty special. Like that's amazing.
How about the others? Do you like to do book signings? Do you?
I have not done any, but I have people reach out to me all the time, and it does. It just makes you feel so good that people are really living in that world with you and enjoying it. And sometimes they even read more into it than you had ever planned. And coming from being a single mom and raising 4 boys by myself, those books, I was just kind of fantasizing in my mind and writing it on paper. And I've just heard from women that feel the same, that they just get you through a really bad time, and that they wish they had those kind of women in their life or men in their life. And it just makes it all worthwhile that you're giving somebody some happiness. And it's a wonderful feeling. I don't know if I could do a book signing. That would make me a nervous wreck. But it's just nice to hear from people all these years. It helps.
Yeah. Well, it's so solitary that when you get to meet like actual physical people or hear from actual physical people, it's kind of a lovely thing. What about you, Mary?
I've never done a book signing. I've always avoided them. Well, partly, most of my readers are in America, and I'm over here, so that's my excuse anyway. So I've never. You
can come here, like you. I'm making give me hands off camera. You can come here.
Well, it would be nice one day. I would love to.
We would be ever so happy to have you, and we would field the bathroom questions for you, so that wouldn't even get to you. You would have none of it would come near you.
I'll bear it in mind. But thank you.
See, in my previous life as a dental hygienist, I used to do health fairs at malls. And so I would teach people how to floss their teeth and brush their teeth in the, you know, complete strangers. So sitting with my name on a table and my books that I wrote, that was really much easier after having done
I can imagine.
Yeah,
There's kind of a physical barrier you have to cross as a dental hygienist.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, ladies, it was delightful to talk to you this week. I really appreciate you all taking the time. It was great to have such a mix of you to talk with. I'm going to go ahead and put the links to all 3 books in the comments so you can grab them. I know Terry's is still 99 cents because it's book 1. Chantry's has gone up to $2.99, but it's $2.99. Come on, man, that's coffee. That's not even coffee. It's just like truck stop coffee. And you can always read it in Kindle Unlimited. And Mary's is 99 cents release, and it'll stay 99 because it's the first book in the series. So, but Dragonblade books are always available in Kindle Unlimited eventually, if not right away, and so you can read to your heart's content. So, ladies, thanks for taking the time to talk to us. I really appreciate it.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Evelyn.
Thank you, Evelyn.
Right.